Soccer friends, welcome to First Touch 26. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Susannah Fuller alongside my guys David Gass and Matt Doyle. T-minus 2 days until the big World Cup final, guys. But we could still have a lot to talk about. Mostly, I want to know how you're surviving the smoke-pocalypse that we are currently existing in. Goss, you've been kind of a mess lately.
Normally, I deal with things okay. I'm like a big. I would argue I'm actually an England fan. Keep calm and carry on. Like I just barrel through.
Yeah.
I just barrel through anything in service of the Queen. But this time, I'm struggling a little bit. We went to the Gotham game on Wednesday.
We did,
and I was a faucet coming out of the nose area. And Gotham is playing on Randall's Island tomorrow at noon.
Interesting.
I saw, and I was like, you know what? I could go to that. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't sit outside for another 2.5 hours.
Maybe that's a bad idea because we still have how many shows left to do?
Two. That's
Is it just after this? We only have 2 more.
Well,
no,
3 if you split up
because
the
it's
final.
Sunday.
Yes, we're doing a pre and post game.
We also
show
are
on
going to
the
be
day of the
doing
final.
a bunch of. We're going to record a bunch of content that's going to come out over the next few weeks about like looking forward. Things are about to get screwy in a way that I hadn't really realized.
Yeah.
6 teams have already qualified for the 2030 World Cup.
Yeah.
Because there are 6 hosts, and the 2028 Euros is being co-hosted across 4 of the home nations, and they're not auto-qualified. They have an automatic spot in a group based off where they'd play if they qualify, which I've never seen before.
So it's conceivable that Ireland or Northern Ireland,
They actually are not a host.
so it's
one.
wow.
Yeah.
All right, so it's
No, they lost their spot because their stadium wasn't done.
okay. So it's England, Scotland,
Wales and Republic of Ireland.
okay. All right.
So, like, Group D is happening in Dublin.
Right.
So, if Ireland qualifies, Ireland will be D1.
Okay.
But if they don't qualify, they're not automatically there, and there's a chance that there'll be no home team at that stadium.
and Ireland's kind of terrible right now. So
Scotland just fired their manager.
yeah, they were terrible too.
So, and I kind of thought before I finally got through the 2030 stuff, and to be clear, I don't think anything's actually official on a bunch of this. It's like FIFA. There still might be 64 teams. But I was like, that actually would be smart for FIFA to do that for 2030, which is if Paraguay qualifies, they play that game in Paraguay. But if they don't, someone else does. Because there's 3 games that are currently
it's going to be
supposed
64 teams, though. So it's
true.
just going to they're just going to have all 6 of those teams auto qualified.
I want to be on the plane from Buenos Aires to Madrid after the first World Cup group stage game, where you then have to fly the whole team across the ocean to get to the World Cup.
Yeah, I like to think of myself as a pretty savvy soccer fan and, fairly knowledgeable.
You're wearing a Curaçao jersey.
I am wearing a Curaçao
You know
kit,
ball.
by the way. Thank you. Thank you, Adidas. But everything's getting more and more complicated. And I'm thinking, if I can't wrap my head around some of these processes, how are the people that we are trying to pull in and enjoy this sport? This is chaos right now.
Colin Coward and Ryan Russillo and Bill Simmons, they'll explain it for you. They'll teach you how it works.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm very excited because, you know who's going to help us make sense of a lot of things?
The world around us?
The world around us, the global soccer game. That's Musa Okwonga. We are so excited. He is one half the Stadio podcast, which is a phenomenal listen. He's one of the smartest soccer writers, soccer voices that I have ever come across, and I'm so stoked because I consider him a friend now, and so it's like a flex for me and my soccer friends. So Musa, welcome to First Touch 26. How you doing? So glad you're here.
Honored to be your friend, but also slightly stressed out by the description. No pressure.
No pressure. This is what I like to do. I like to build people up, and it's just, and then you're soaring, you can't go anywhere.
Musa, we were told for the English to perform, you like to be overrated and pushed out of your comfort zone. So we're trying to put you in the spot.
You ruined it.
Really? You're going there? Really?
No, you ruined it. No, but seriously,
I can
Musa, we're so thrilled to have you. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about England, right? Because we've had a few days now to kind of ruminate and sit on this loss in the semifinals to Argentina. And I've talked to a lot of my friends who are English, and it's been kind of like across the board the way people are dealing with this and reacting to this loss. But as somebody who's just fully entrenched in the global soccer schism, how have you been processing this result for England?
I think it's very dangerous to make the result of a football match a referendum on national identity. Like I think it's just very big. Like, football has been around in an organised form for like 150 years, and now England lose, and it's like, oh my God, it's national decline. No, it's actually, you gave the greatest player of all time 15 minutes to cook. It's like the A team, you know, when they leave Hannibal alone with all, like, in the garage with all the various.
The A team reference is so elite.
You don't leave the A team alone in the garage, and we did that. And like, I think it's so interesting because there's a lot of talk about specifically the adjustments that were made in the game, bringing on a centre back for like a winger, one of the best pressing forwards in the world, Gordon, a concert. But actually, I think it's the second bite, because, you know, there's a moment, there's like, you know, in a horror film, there's a moment to actually get out before the demon turns up. There's always that moment. Yeah. Like when you see the dead body being dragged across the field, you can just carry on driving through Kentucky. It's normally a state like Kentucky. Just carry on driving. There was very much a carry on driving moment when Tuchel, I think, Argentina hit the post for the first time, right? And Tuchel, and at some point, I think he brings on Dan Burn. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, at that point, you could have brought on like Kobbie Mainoo. But what you did was you invited more pressure. You got away with it once, but you never, against Argentina, against any elite team, against Spain, you just never get away with it twice. You just don't. So I think for me, the way I look at it was, it's a game of small margins. Yes, we know all of that. But there's a world in which if England make better adjustments, they're in the final. And I think that's fine, and that's simple, and that's straight. And I think even the best coaches don't quite get it right all the time. And I think this is an example of that.
We used a phrase on this show where we said this is the golden generation of the English national team. Over the last 8 years now, it's 4 semifinals, right? And 2 finals in the
golden
Euros.
Era.
Golden era.
Golden generation.
Is that fair to say from the outside? Like, how do you perceive now, let's say Harry Kane doesn't play another World Cup or another major tournament. How do you perceive this 8 years that now ends in this semifinal?
I think when he goes, it will actually be quite liberating, because there'll be no pressure to play with him. You know, like when the Knicks had Ewing and it had to go through Ewing, and then Ewing goes, and actually it allows you to sort of reconfigure. There's something about having to work with the icon, having to work with the main character. When that pressure is gone, I think it frees everybody up. And I don't think it's the golden age yet, because I think we're on the verge of the golden age. And I say that because I was looking through the last few midfields that England have had. 2018 had a midfield of involving Jesse Lingard and Dele Alli, very good player, and Jordan Henderson. These are very good players, but that is not a World Cup winning midfield. Even this midfield, it's slightly below par. Like, I think England, even if they got to the final, I think Spain turned them over, actually. Like, more comfortably than Argentina do, actually, because England's ability to control games is still evolving. So if there's any consolation to be taken from this, England are at the beginning of, I think, their golden period. Like, Jude Bellingham's still 23. Kobbie Mainoo is still like early 20s.
Isn't that part of the DNA, though? I'm going to read you the quote from Tuchel. In this moment, my feeling was no structure in the world would have helped us, because actually we were too passive. I think ball possession plays a crucial role. It's maybe not in our DNA like it is in the Spanish, Argentinian, or Brazilian DNA to take the ball and control of the game. And even the great young talented midfielders who are coming through for England don't have that same sort of calm and willingness to orchestrate like what we see from, Rodri is the Ne Plus Ultra example right now.
I disagree with that, because there's a couple of things. First of all, so the first thing to note is that they said Argentina didn't have winning DNA until the 2020 and 2021 Copa America. Like, they lost 2 Copa Americas in a row. They hadn't won since the mid-90s, and everyone was calling them chokers. Everyone was like, oh, Argentina, they're just bottlers. They're terrified of Maradona. And that was their DNA. Like, that was the conversation about them, right? And Scaloni turned that around. Like, it's So I want to say is that if anybody understands how Tuchel feels right now, it's Scaloni. And Scaloni would probably say to him, don't buy into that DNA stuff, that can change. I would say this as well, like if you look at England's young players that can control games and have done so under pressure, like Adam Wharton, who is at home, Kobbie Mainoo, who didn't get a single minute. Like, I think this is a very convenient rationale sometimes. I'm not saying that Tuchel's entirely wrong about habits. What I am saying is there's nothing to have stopped Tuchel giving Kobbie Mainoo minutes in that third group match, right? And actually having him as an option. There's nothing to stop him bringing on the type of player that even Argentina's coaches said at halftime they were afraid of seeing. They were afraid of seeing Noni Madueke and Bukayo Saka. God knows what Marcus Rashford would have done to two centre-halves on a yellow card. Like, I don't actually think England needed to keep the ball, is what I'm saying, to survive until full time. I think they could have scraped through and got to the final with what they had.
Between the 65th minute and the 87th minute, England completed 2 passes.
2 passes.
I mean, that to me, that says a lot about the team's mindset, but it also does say a lot about the DNA of the type of central midfielders that England produces. I do think that, but while you're right, that Argentina had that reputation as, bottlers up until 2021, what they didn't lack for was the ability to get on the ball and control the game. And I think that is more what the quote points to rather than pure quality.
Oh, no, that's really good. That's a great point. And I think if you look even at the numbers, I was having a look at how midfielders receive the ball under pressure, how they progress the ball. Elliot Anderson, for all his great passing numbers, is not yet an elite progressive passer at international level. Like, he doesn't break lines like Rodri does. Like, as good as he is, as brilliant as he doesn't force the issue. I would also say that there was a conversation about, you just can't take Harry Kane off. I'm like, why not? Like, why not take him off? Because if you take him off and you put on a really, really fast player, if you assume, okay, we're not going to get on the ball and control the game, we're going to hit the ball long. Actually, there's a lot to be said for long ball football. If you're going to play long ball football, then you kind of have to max it out and just put on someone like Marcus Rashford, who is light, speed, quick, and attempt to get the ball to the corners. And I think that allows you to hang on. And I'm not disputing what you say about controlling games. I'm just saying that I think there's a way out of this that doesn't involve having 60% possession in the last 10 minutes. Does that make sense?
They were still 90 seconds away from going extra time or going to a World Cup final.
You're right, but I just want to say again, for 22 minutes of the game, they completed 2 passes. Sure. The first pass was Pickford to Stones. The second pass they completed was Stones back to Pickford. And that was it for a quarter of the game.
But okay. But you can't tell me that
you're right.
Create better ball control midfielders than England, and Switzerland were able to do it.
But England's not comparing themselves to Switzerland.
But Switzerland did that against Argentina in the same game states. A lot of that was decision, fear, and the way they set themselves up. I would argue, yes, they may not have been great. They could have completed 2 more passes if they played like a real
Musa, I want you to know how much I'm enjoying this. The only time I enjoy talking about England is after England has failed. And as far as I'm concerned, this was just such a spectacular failure.
No, and I'm here for it because I think, look, I love this conversation because I want to put something else in. I fully believe that if Scaloni was coaching England, they get through to that final. If you give Scaloni that set of players, I think England get to the final. That's what I think. And I think they complete more than 2 passes. I genuinely believe that happens. So, and I tell you why I say this, because, right, Thomas Tuchel, they were playing against Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. When he was coaching Bayern, he was against Ancelotti. Ancelotti took off one of their best goal scorers in crucial games, Rodrigo, and brought on Joselu, and Joselu scores like in the last 2 minutes and they go through. Like, Tuchel in elite games, this is the thing that people aren't talking about enough. Tuchel in elite games at the very highest level doesn't gamble in an attacking sense. He never has. This is the thing. This is not the dirty secret. Everyone knows it. It's on public record. But like the games are on YouTube. But
no one told the FA, so the FA was uninformed. But everyone else knows.
Yeah, the FA was counting on his ability to close out games in the style of the Champions League final for Chelsea.
Yeah,
right. I think it was counting on that, but it wasn't counting on him leaving Messi unoccupied for that long. And also, I think this as well. If you look at how Pep Guardiola coached Nico O'Reilly and coached flanks and like got to lock down defensive sides. Again, I think someone like a Pep Guardiola finds a solution to Messi in the right side area. I fully believe that he does that with that selection of players.
We've brought up Pep on this show. Do you think one, is Tuchel done? Do we even know?
Yeah, I don't know.
He says he's not resigning.
Yeah.
So
He should stay.
So my first question for you is going to be this. You're English, you live in Germany. What do you make of the idea of having a German coach for the English national team? Not from like a national point of view, but I think from a personality point of view. Like, I think the Tuchel post-game comments after Norway that Jude kind of struggled with is like, that's a cultural clash of Germans just say a thing the way they see it, and it's not very warm.
I thought it was two Germans. Because don't forget, Bellingham's like formative years in football.
Fair.
They were also spent in. I think it was just like two Germans in a pub coaching the national side. And the thing I loved about it was they were both right.
Yeah.
It was a bit like, it was like Steve Kerr and Draymond Green, actually. Like you need that player. And I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of Draymond's off-court stuff or even on-court stuff. But that dynamic they have of like the team has multiple leaders and they just say it and it's fine and it's dealt with. And I think that's how they operate really well. And actually, I think Tuchel gave us a bit of a trailer of what we could expect in this game because he said, I gave the players instructions they didn't follow. Like, Tuchel didn't ask them to sit deep, right? And that is where I'll defend him, absolutely. The thing about the Norway game, Elliot Anderson came out afterwards and said, we made this really hard on ourselves. We should have played a bit more football and not run so much. Elliot Anderson literally said, well, he admitted, we were given instructions that we didn't follow. Like, that's a big thing. How often do you hear an elite athlete come out and say, yeah, actually, we were told to do stuff and we just kind of like, we did drum solos instead. You don't hear
Not
that.
a great look, huh? No.
No.
So, Musa, you said you think Tuchel should stay as
Yes.
England manager? Okay, make the case. Because a lot of people are thinking otherwise at this point.
How many? Well, look, first of all, he got them to World Cup semi-final and he got them within 8 minutes of normal time of an actual final. Against the final, they would have lost. Sorry to be that guy, but I think they lose to Spain. I just think Spain have too much juice, and the matchup is horrible. I think the Spain-Argentina matchup is much closer. I think he stays because he has developed these players. He has got some great performances out of them. There's a new batch of great players coming in. He has been really bold. He made some really bold selections. A lot of people are saying that Bellingham should have stayed at home. A lot of big newspapers are like, don't pick Bellingham, don't start Bellingham. And look, until they took the lead on 55 minutes, he coached this game perfectly. They withstood Argentina. They drew yellow cards off a ref that seemingly didn't want to give them at all. They got Martinez terrified. When Martinez gets the yellow card, it's very rare you see an elite athlete as terrified as Martinez was when he gets booked in the first half, because he knows he's in trouble. And the way England are moving, the way Bellingham is breaking ground, he coached the first 55 minutes of this game perfectly. Right? And of course it fell to pieces. Of course it was awful. But if we step back in the cold light of day, how many available coaches are significantly better than Tuchel? They're not there.
Well, we think there might be one who left Man City. That's the question.
That guy said no. That guy said no in 2014. Did you not see this?
We did just see that. No, I just saw it this morning. But I didn't see why.
You don't need to know why. You know why. In your heart, you know why. You know why. It's like when you, how do I say this? I don't want to sound like reductive, but do you know that point in your like dating career when you stop seeking chaos? You stop seeking the mystery of desire and the people that won't text you back for like, a few days.
You just want to settle down.
Not even you want to settle forward. Let's not be reductive.
Okay.
You want to settle you want to move forward with certainty and the knowledge that the person you're engaging with is emotionally invested in you in a way that is not toxic. That's what you want. And I think Pep looked and he's like, I'm not sure about this. They make all the right noises.
I wanted to ask you this one. So you live in Germany. You've lived in Germany for a while. The
12 years,
Germany-Paraguay loss to me was the seminal moment of this World Cup. We've reached this point now where Germany are no longer impenetrable. And I saw someone say like Argentina has become Germany, of like, it doesn't matter what they do, they end up winning. But to see Germany lose in penalty kicks was something that I never thought I'd see. And I'm curious how you're seeing Germany react to their loss versus how England has reacted to their loss.
I think people knew this Germany team had issues. Like they lost Gundogan and they lost Kroos. Those are two huge losses. Like, those are people that basically, like, they didn't coach the games by themselves, but they ran games, right? And you replace it with Mecha, who is very dynamic but doesn't have the midfield control, and Pavlovic, who's going to be a great player but still has a while to learn. Fierce is low on confidence. This team has structural problems. Don't get me wrong. I think it was losing to France the next round anyway. But also, Paraguay, let's put respect on their name. That team has been a demon to face ever since they appeared in their first World Cup. If you look back at like Spain, Paraguay in 2010, Xavi, there was an interview. He comes off afterwards and he's talking to them, and everyone's like, I think this journalist is going, "Oh, come on, it's Paraguay. You only won 1-0." And he was like, the defensive system was spectacular. I remember watching the whole game in '98 when France squeezed past Paraguay. Henry hits the post. I think Blanc scores a few minutes from the end of extra time. And Paraguay's defense was mind-blowing. And that guy was in goal, Chilavert, and no one wanted any parts of that. So this defeat was like 20 years coming. Like, at some point, Paraguay were going to cook a huge national side. So when it happened, I was like, no, this was completely within the wheelhouse of possibility. This is not the grand humiliation it's being painted as, in my opinion.
Okay, so now, I mean, I don't know if it's finalized yet, but the Jurgen Klopp era to begin. Can Jurgen Klopp?
He's from Liverpool, right?
he basically is from Liverpool.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I adopt him as my own.
Okay.
Can Jurgen Klopp be the savior of German football?
Yes, he can. He needs to manage expectations very early. I think Klopp's really good at mood and setting the tone. And I think there's some brilliant footballers in that Germany team and squad and setup. The first thing he needs to do is go like, look, this is just give it like, this is a 10-year project. Like, almost treat it like that, because if he calls it that or calls it something like that, then people immediately calm down and don't start going, oh, we're going to go for it next year, next World Cup, we're going to be going at it. No, just calm everyone down and then build, because there's a really exciting crop of players in there. I'm excited by it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Klopp.
I'm going to read everybody a quote. This is from Philip Lahm after the elimination about the modern German player. The defending itself, the duel, the timing of the tackle, throwing yourself into a challenge is barely being coached anymore in Germany, apparently. When you watch how the South American players throw themselves into their duels, you see the difference at once. And I think honestly, I don't think that's wrong. It was a quote given in the heat of the moment after seeing this team, frankly, bullied physically and suffering a pretty terrible loss. They lost the duels, I think it was 60% to 40%.
I mean, it links to the Mbappe quote where he goes, they thought we were going to show up in tuxedos.
Right.
I disagree with Lahm only because Uruguay didn't give us that energy. Paraguay did. Mexico, well, Central America, Argentina. I think he's talking about a couple of like South American nations. I know what he means. He means like the desperation to win. I get that. And don't get me wrong, I love Philipp Lahm. I think he's amazing. I also think that this Germany team is in a weird place. It's like between generations where the new people are still emerging. But because people like Kroos were just so good, Kroos and Neuer were so good, I think a lot of players, like look at Ter Stegen. If Ter Stegen had been around in any other era, he would have had 150 caps for Germany. But Neuer was right there. So because of it's partly Lahm's fault, because of the brilliance of his generation, they kind of broke the generation below because they didn't get looks. Like Baumann at this tournament. Baumann was brilliant, right, in a lot of the qualifiers, and Neuer just comes in and takes his place. So I think Germany right now, it happens quite often. Very few, apart from Spain, actually even Spain struggled, to be honest, very few elite footballing nations manage the transition from one great era to another. I mean, look at Spain in 2014 and how they got absolutely cooked in the group stages.
But you don't think there's a structural problem in the German game that it won't bounce back? You think it's just the national team finding its feet?
Look, it will bounce back. I think there's a couple of issues in Germany as well, like the competitive nature of the National League, because Bayern is so dominant. That's a problem. It is a problem, don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying Philipp Lahm's completely wrong about the type of midfielder they're producing. That's also a challenge. I'm also, I think, a little bit defensive supportive because I see the quality of coaching in Germany. I mean, you've got like Fabian Hürzeler is at Brighton and he's in his early 30s. Nagelsmann, okay, it didn't work out at Bayern, but he's like in his late 30s and he coached the national team. Like, you have brilliant footballing minds in Germany, right? Some of the best in the world and some of the best young players. Again, Pavlovic is talked about as a future Kroos one day. So I know that Lahm is disillusioned because of what he achieved and what he wants for, as an honest fan of Germany. I get that. But I think there's more room for optimism than he is giving at the moment.
Big picture, this World Cup 2026. We talked about it a lot going into it together.
Yeah.
I know we were excited about some of the quirky little potentials we had, and I'm sitting next to Sue's wearing a Curacao jersey. There was some wild events and wild experiences. What do you remember from this World Cup? How do you think 2026 will be known?
Do you know what I love about it? I love this World Cup on the field anyway. I love this World Cup on the field because as much as there have been incredible individual performances, it's the World Cup where the collective has truly thrived. And we speak to Curacao and that. If you look at those clubs, very few countries actually disappointed. Even Curacao, they get cooked in that first game and they come back with that point. People make adjustments. Cabo Verde, from the beginning, they came ready. They came as a team. Individually, maybe on paper, they weren't necessarily the greatest shakes, but they brought such a streetwise vibe to it. And it looks as if, whoever wins this World Cup final, Argentina are greater than the sum of their parts. As are Spain. As great as Spain are, they all bought into the team concept. And that, to me, I think is the legacy of this World Cup.
All right, well, let's look ahead to the final then on Sunday between Spain and Argentina. I asked these guys, Musa, the other day, because we've talked about the fact that sometimes finals can be a bit cagey, not the most enticing to watch. What type of match do you think we're going to see between Spain and Argentina?
I don't think Argentina will try the same stuff on Spain that they tried on England. The intimidation, that's not going to work on Spain. It's not. They're too smart. They're too wily. I think Spain are going to try to pull them apart with very patient passing. They're going to try and move them around because Argentina are old and they've been through an extra round of the World Cup. Nobody's played this much football at this much intensity at a World Cup. It's not happened. All of those games in the knockout were extremely exhausting, and Spain have got rotation available. They're just going to try and pull the wings off them and move them around. So I think they've got to be really careful. If Argentina aren't careful, this could end up like the Euro 2012 final, when they flood the midfield and isolate the key playmaker. In that case, it was Pirlo, in this case, Messi, and they destroyed them 4-0. I don't think it will be that. I think it will be tighter than that. But that's what Spain will try and do. Move them around with speed of passing, speed of movement, and just bedazzle them. But Argentina, they're quite wily. So, Spain are my favourites for it, but it's going to be a tight one.
Lionel Messi. They've got the X factor, the little magician, Lionel Messi. If Argentina are able to pull this off, win back-to-back World Cups, Lionel Messi contributing because that's what he does. He creates. If that happens, does Messi win the Ballon d'Or?
Do you know what? I think it's so wild that you say that, because it's almost it's strange to even think, because Harry Kane's had the season he's had, but I think he does win the Ballon d'Or. I think he does win it. He's got 6 assists. He's the second most assists at the tournament, and he's a top goal scorer, and he's 39, and he got the match-winning assist with his weaker foot against an elite left back. And everyone knew he was the danger. It's everyone knew Thanos was coming, but they couldn't stop him. I think he does. I think if he beats this Spain team in the final, I think he gets the Ballon d'Or.
L'Equipe, I think, had to put out a statement over the last 7 days to explain that you actually could if you don't play in Europe, because it's never happened. There's never been a player not playing in Europe who's won the Ballon d'Or, and part of it is not an official award. The magazine created the award in however they wanted to, and everyone slowly started to collect to the fact that, okay, this is the one, right? The NBA gives away the MVP trophy. Right. There's an official nature to it. There's no official nature to this, and it is a European-based magazine in France, and a lot of the journalism connected to it is Europe-based. I believe they put out a statement saying there is no restriction to what country you can be from, because I think someone asked recently, and they felt like they had to speak to it.
The way it evolved was, it was originally European Footballer of the Year. It was you had to be European to win it, and then in the mid-90s, it was anyone who's playing for a club
Right.
in
In Europe.
Europe.
Normally was the best.
So,
player
and I
in the
think
world.
George Weah was the first non-European to win the Ballon d'Or because, of course,
Interesting.
he was playing for AC Milan. But since then, it's brought into like I think it merged with FIFA World Player of the Year, and it's now just like who's the best player in the world. So it would be fitting if Messi, who's won it 6-7 times already, wins his final one presumably and becomes
Is it
the
8?
first.
Has he won 8?
What's that?
Has he won 8? Has he won 8?
Yeah.
Messi has.
Do you think he knows? I don't think he knows they all are. I think he's like. I think if Messi, if he went to like one of his properties, I think the whole closet would have like a Ballon d'Or, like just a spare one lying around. I think it's that level of. Like he definitely can't remember the individual Ballon d'Ors that he's won.
He's won 5 second places and he has 1 third place. You can bet money there's no way the third place trophy exists anywhere in the world. That thing got dumped in the trash for sure.
1,000%.
But it's interesting because he won 09, 10, 11, 12, 15, and then there's a 4-year gap, and then he wins it again in 2019. And I assume if we went back in time and all talked, that 4-year gap was where it was like Messi and Ronaldo are done. We're moving on. Yeah. And then Messi was like, actually, I got about 7 more years to be the best player in the world, so I'm just going to win everything now.
Paul Pogba said it best. He said Leo Messi has been the best football in the world for the last 15 years. Yeah. He said if you're going to really just talk about who the best is, as opposed to achievement, he is the best footballer and has been for the last 15 years. I mean, like, when he scored that hat-trick in the Classico when he was 19 years old, it's 20 years ago. And I think Sid Lowe wrote and said he's already the best footballer in the world. And he's basically been top 3 since he was 19 years old. That's 20 years.
He's also an elite nanny, it turns out. Just taking care of babies all across Barcelona.
This is the first time. This is the first time in a major final of any type. We certainly haven't had a Super Bowl where a quarterback bathed his opposing quarterback.
Isn't that wild? The Kubarsi picture breaks everything. Like, how many babies were just being passed around is wild.
Isn't that absolutely wild that we're even in this conversation? The fact we're talking, if you'd said to me, like, even 4 years ago, 8 years ago, we'd be talking about Leo Messi as the best footballer in the World Cup. I'd have been like, no, that's not. No, he's 39. And I'm not to be disrespectful. It's like, it's not possible that's a. But here we are. It's a thing. It's the reality. It's the reality.
And we all need to enjoy it
He's playing,
while it's still here.
He's 100% playing in Copa America in 28. I'm like sure of it now.
Yeah.
I would be more surprised if he didn't play in Buenos Aires in 2030 at the World Cup opener than if he did. Yeah. He's going to play. Even if it's not in Miami and he goes to Rosario or he pulls a James Rodriguez and just trains for 6 months, he's playing in that game.
Yeah.
God willing.
Yeah, for sure.
God willing.
Yeah.
Musa, before we let you go, we're big on predictions here. So you have to give us your score prediction for Sunday's final.
Okay. Spain 2, Argentina 1.
2-1 Spain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feels fair.
Yeah, I don't see Spain opening up on them. I think Spain will score against them multiple times. I'm not sure they get a third. If they do get a third, it's going to be late on.
Yeah.
But I think it's. Do you know what? Maybe 3-1. Spain 3, Argentina 1. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you why I say 3-1 because they very nearly got a third against France. They very nearly got that third against France quite early in the second half, actually relatively early, and they opened them up. And I just think they've got the rotation. Did you see the game when they beat Turkey 6-0 in the qualifier? I don't know if you saw it. Spain, Turkey 6-0, and it was mind-blowing. The opening goal from Mikel Merino was like some kind of cat's cradle pass. It's mind-blowing. That, I think, is what is awaiting Argentina.
Love it.
So
that sounds fun.
3-1.
I love that. I mean, the
Spain
one thing to
Argentina.
Remember is France are obviously a nation of bottlers. Victor Wembanyama, all of that.
Oh.
So,
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow, are we going after Wemby? Can I say?
Nixon 5, baby. It's all in there.
Well, you're a Spurs fan. While I say this about Wembanyama, can I say this? Like, some of the discourse was like, I know he's a multimillionaire. I felt for the guy. I felt for the guy because it turned. Like this guy was like America's darling, and then
I've never seen a heel turn so fast.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
I
Doyle's a
feel-
Celtics fan. He doesn't like to talk. And he's still a Wemby fan, I guess. deep in his soul.
I don't like the New York media.
Yeah.
Too much control.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that this actually becomes an NBA centric
Well, Musa's
show.
on.
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. It's brilliant. No, I'm so here for it. Musa, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate you so very much, and we hope to chat with you again very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of the World Cup, my friend.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure joining you. Take care, gang. Till next time. Bye.
Bye,
Musa.
Musa. What a ledge.
The best.
What a ledge. Guys, remember, he is on the Stadio podcast. Make sure you check that out. He and Ryan Hunn have some really, really awesome conversations about the global game. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts.
They talk one Knox.
They do talk one Knox, which
love a little
they
USL
are
League One.
very into USL and lower division soccer in the United States. And the fact that they are talking about it just makes me...
One Knots worldwide.
Man, listen, it's everywhere. We're spreading the gospel, doing the Lord's work.
The pit bull of USL League one Knox.
Literally. You're not lying. Okay, on that note, we're talking about the final on Sunday. And so obviously we talked about Messi and his importance on Argentina, but there's going to have to be other guys that step up. So in terms of players that sort of need to have big performances for both sides, we're going to have that conversation right now. Do we want to start with Spain, Doyle, and who needs to? I mean,
Musa's right. Like Spain scores a type of goals where they move the game all over the pitch, and everybody takes a perfect touch, and Cucurella is stretching the field on one side, and maybe Lamine Yamal gets isolated on the other side. And the beauty of it is they're all so good with the ball and so smart off the ball that it doesn't feel like anyone in particular has to have this miracle moment. That said, Marino, his ability to make those runs from central midfield, or Dani Olmo, his ability to push up and make a play that's a center forward's play with his back to the goal that put Porro in. Like, you can see how it's set up for those guys wearing the number 10 kit or playing the number 10 role to be the difference makers. If Dani Olmo has a good game in this one, Argentina's in so much trouble.
Yeah, I think Olmo's huge. I think Cucurella also, because we know Messi wants to camp out in that space. And one of the ways you can defend is by attacking and forcing the other team to defend your space. So I think whether it's Simeone or DePaul out there is based off how much cover are you giving Messi, how can you help him, how can you deal with Cucurella and Baena without, of course, the exposure, which is Messi's not going to defend it. And so you need to cover for that space. And then, as Doyle mentioned, Spain makes the game wide, and Cucurella is the one who reads the space, and he takes it and he changes it. So he's one where he's a difference maker. He's also a shit stirrer.
Yeah.
And so if Argentina is going to do it, he plays that balance of, well, is he the guy who's doing it back, or is he the guy who gets set off? And so there's that balance as well. And I think for a Spanish team that's fairly composed, especially a lot of the guys coming out of Barcelona, where it's like this La Masia culture, he's going to have to lead in that way, because I've seen, I guess the game got set, and I do this too much, where I'm like, boom, done. Spain 3-1, I already know. Yeah. Now we spend 4 days where everyone starts to chip away at that. And so one of the things that people have chipped away at is, well, have they dealt with the energy of Argentina? And like the Philip Lahm stuff, right? What Argentina is going to bring of like their refusal to die, the tackles, the 50-50, the energy. And you could say Spain dealt with it with Uruguay, which was actually a struggle of a game for them, and it wasn't an explosive performance. Uruguay are terrible. So they were like never going to win that game. Mm-hmm. So it was like, could Spain survive it and get through? That's one of the conversations I've seen happen. And so I think Cucurella, for that type of stuff, has to be a leader for this team, because who else is going to sort of like step into that role, or who else is going to deal with that? So I think that really elevates him. The other conversation that started to like chip away at my confidence is some Argentine broadcast did like, the 11 players on both teams, who would you take at each position? Ooh. And Argentina actually, they were wrong, because they're Argentines. They went like 8-3 Argentina, because they picked both the Argentine center backs, which is insane.
That's insane, yeah.
But it's probably 6-5 Argentina. If Julian Alvarez is starting, as you go through that list, you probably end up pretty much, central midfield, Enzo Fernandez probably you would take over, I don't know. What do you want to say? Sergio Ruiz?
Fabian Ruiz?
Fabian, sorry.
Yeah, I would take him. Yeah, I would, but I would take Pedri over either of them.
But Pedri doesn't start for his own team.
Yeah.
So I don't think you get to take Pedri over either. So it's like, I think the Argentine attack you take man for man as individuals. I think you could debate a couple of the other positions, which I was surprised by because in my head I was like, no chance. But to Musa's point, like Spain is as talented as they are, they're also better than the collective. Mm-hmm. And Argentina, I don't know if they can be better than the collective, even though I guess I was surprised in the end that the collective for Argentina is actually better than Spain's right now.
They're better in a different way, though.
We all saw what Spain did to France, right?
Yeah.
And we saw what France was doing to everybody else over the past month.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that team's going to win.
Okay.
But they don't know how to live and die in the 50-50.
I mean, let's remember, like you said, they suffered and survived through Uruguay, and they strangled them to death. And then the next game they played was against Austria, who are a high-pressing team by the originator of the high press, Ralph Rangnick, and they killed them 3-0.
They're also a bad team.
Yeah.
Like Austria,
I've
originator.
been sitting
being...
next to you all month telling me that Argentina is a bad team.
Oh, yeah, fair. I did not say Austria was a good team at any point.
No.
Yeah.
Would not have implied that.
Yeah.
I know we spoke earlier this week about Lamine Yamal and the fact that he doesn't necessarily need to have this like marquee match in the World Cup. But for him, age 19, winning a World Cup with Spain, how important is this moment for him in terms of his career and the way people see him through the global lens of soccer?
You never get a shot at this.
Yeah.
The assumption should be Lamine Yamal will never play in a World Cup final
Right.
again. So you get one chance at this because of the nature of injuries and time and all this stuff. There's probably going to be wildfires across the world by the next World Cup and they won't even play the games. So you never get another chance at this. And I think that's an example you see from, Ronaldo's the obvious one to bring up, but like a ton of players. Even Messi, we thought, up until 4 years ago, we thought that Messi would never get the shot at this. So I think the assumption should be, I think Lamine Yamal will be one of the 5 or 10 greatest players of all time if his career can play out somewhat healthy. And that pressure on that is on Barcelona. So the assumption should be this is his one shot at this. And this is a legacy thing that for all the things we could say about how you play and what you do, the general public will know you for winning World Cups.
Yeah, I think that is the line where it is. Anyone who really follows the sport knows the type of talent that Lamine Yamal is, and he's already proved it at one major tournament, and he proves it week after week after week, almost to his detriment with Barcelona. But my hope is that this is not the last time we see him in a World Cup final. Win, lose, or draw on Sunday. I hope he has the same kind of longevity that Messi and Modric and Vojinha, the 3 greatest players of the past 20 years, have shown in this tournament.
I would like a full printout of all of the photos that have been taken of Lamine Yamal bathing babies to understand in 20 years who the next great player would be. I think that should now be public knowledge.
It is wild, man. Like, they just had Messi going around, like, bathing Catalan children 20 years ago, and, like, the Night King and Game of Thrones.
Incredible. Okay, on Argentina's side, who are the key players?
I said yesterday, I just think Argentina needs some of the ball.
Yeah.
I don't think they can survive everything Spain does in possession for 90 minutes. And I think sort of that was where Musa landed of like, Musa was trying to figure out how dangerous Spain will be. There was not really a how Argentina wins. Mm-hmm. It's like, what's the extent to which Spain takes risks and then actually puts their chances in the goal? And so in my mind, Argentina needs to hold some of the ball. I think that falls on McAllister. I think if he starts, it falls on DePaul. Mm-hmm. And like the complaint with DePaul is he's not super dangerous going forward. I don't know that that's the need this game. I think they need to be on the ball for some level of the first 55 minutes to not be
I don't think
killed.
they get on the ball if they don't have that threat going forward through the lines. And especially if Julian Alvarez is starting up top alongside Messi, which I think he probably will.
Would you?
He's so good coming back in. He helps them maintain possession, but then Messi's not going to stretch the field, which is why Simeone I think it was a great idea to start him against England. It kind of set the terms of the engagement physically, and also defined the spaces that England were going to have to defend. And you got to put some of that fear into Spain.
Would you start Lautaro?
I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I don't think, even though he's clearly a better goal scorer than Julian Alvarez. But for this game, I think he's a weapon to bring off the bench, and you're probably going to need that.
Yeah. I think that's it's the Lukaku. I mean, it's not the same convo because they're different players, but we kept saying start Lukaku, and it's like at some point you have to listen to a coach when they're like, this guy keeps working off the bench. That's a thing. That doesn't always mean start them. It means we have this weapon that we believe in, that we know we can go to, and I think that's what Lautaro is for this group, and he can't keep the ball as well, and he won't. He does with Inter, he doesn't with this group, where Alvarez can dribble out of pressure. He can turn and face up defenders. He can break defenders down. He can do more things for you. He hasn't really over the course of the tournament. Part of that, I think, was the injury coming back. I mean, the way he finished with Atletico Madrid, it was the best soccer we've ever seen him play. And if he can get closer to that in this game, being one more game back, and against players he's obviously familiar with playing in Spain, I think that would be pretty huge for them. But I just don't think Argentina can, if they sit in the way they did against England, and with Messi, you don't have the stretch the field counterattack. I just think they'll be 2-0 down before they start playing, and I don't think Spain are bad enough to let them back in.
I think that's fair. Who do you think Messi is like playing in his head to
Who
get
does he
that feel?
hate?
You know, like is it the Jude Bellingham quote? Like what's, you know, he needs that fuel. What's,
I mean, he's got to have.
it?
He seems like he's got a lot of shit on people. He's got to have something on someone that
he was like
I don't know. Pedri said in a Twitch
He's got a
stream
spite
5 years
list.
ago.
He'll be mad.
Who's on his spite list
Well,
for
he'll be
Spain?
mad that Cucurella has signed with Real Madrid.
go.
And now
There we
there's
go.
rumors
We
of
found it.
Rodri having been offered to Real Madrid by
found
Manchester City. So he
Well,
might.
they got to go get Elliot Anderson.
Yeah.
So there's no space for Rodri anymore.
Good Lord.
In the team.
So maybe there's something in
Great
that.
shout. I love it. I love it. All right, guys. That's going to do it for us today. We're going to be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We'll be handing out some of our World Cup 2026 awards, which will be all kinds of fun. So you don't want to miss that. But again, a huge thank you to Musa Okwonga for taking the time to join us today. Big shouts to Derek, running the whole show behind the scenes. And of course, thanks to you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you very much. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Hope you're breathing in clean air. We'll see you tomorrow.